Welcome back to Total Disclosure. My name's Ty, and I am so happy to be here, guys. The chat, you guys have been absolutely amazing. While we kind of had a kerfuffle, if you will, I'm not really sure what happened with Steven tonight, but he hasn't gotten back to me, unfortunately, and it makes me really sad because I have had him on in the past. He did confirm it with me today at 2:30. Tom can vouch for that. It just sucks. It sucks. But we're gonna continue. We're just gonna keep our heads up and our smiles up. Our smiles big. So we have lots to discuss nonetheless. And you, the listener, are the third guest. Okay. So tonight, let's make that deal. You're the third guest. Thank you, Lisa, for becoming a member. You do not know how much it means to me. Welcome, Tom. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, become a member or join our Patreon. All of it is exclusive, and you know, yearly gifts, exclusive access, early podcasts, etc., so on. What's up, Tom?
Ty, thanks for having me on again, man. It's a pleasure. I'm glad we met, man. I just want to say that it's been a lot of fun coming on the show.
Yeah, man.
A lot of really familiar faces in the
too.
chat too. Really happy to see these people.
Through that hour of waiting, it seems to have taken a toll on the battery. So introduce yourself and talk about what we're going to be discussing tonight.
All right. So everyone, thanks for being here. Obviously, I'm Tom, also known as Cortex Zero here on YouTube. A lot of you may know me from Twitter. I'm fairly active on there. And you may know me just from my channel as well. I met Ty pretty randomly. He reached out to me on Twitter one day and was like, hey, man, you should come on the show. And now we're buddies. So here we are. There's a lot going on in the UFO world that we're going to be talking about today. Some of the goings on in Washington. For lack of a better word, the whistleblower language, but it's really not whistleblower per se. It's not really the right word. It's better to say witness instead of whistleblower. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody there in the chat. Lisa, we've seen you here before, obviously. It's good to see you again. Ant, thanks for being here. Obviously, me and you were talking in DMs. Happy to see you here too. That's really awesome.
And just to say the listener call-in line is open as well. So anyone who wants to call in, or if you want a link, we can also do that. If you're comfortable coming on camera, but we'd love to hear from you within listener engagement. It's always a plus. But let's get to some stuff, man. So we were originally going to talk about the UAP report and its delay and why it's been delayed. Does it even matter at this point? To you, what are your thoughts? Does the report even matter to you at this point?
No, not at all.
Now, why not?
Because I'm more focused on the rumblings that there are witnesses coming forward speaking to Congress in the background, and there's no way that's going to appear in the report, right? They're related, but there's multiple degrees of separation between those two ideas. So at this point, the report, it does mean something to me. Obviously, I would like to know what's in it. I'd like to know what the delay was and all that. But I don't think it holds nearly as much importance as these. It's not even rumors, but the whisperings that we have. There's apparently already been conversations occurring between very, very credible witnesses in Congress related to legacy programs, back engineering, all of that. Oh, look at that, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for becoming a member.
It's fantastic.
But yeah, so legacy programs continue.
So at this point, I'm not too concerned with whether or not it gets released tomorrow or next week. I'm more concerned with what I'm hearing from guys like Christopher Sharp and George Knapp, because that's where the most exciting information seems to be coming out. And this apparent sense of urgency to move the topic forward. That I've been hearing that in multiple places.
Well,
obviously, John Ramirez being an example.
Think about this. That whole John Ramirez conversation. Yeah. Right? As you were just about to say. it just goes back. It goes back to my original thought about how we're being kind of molded and crafted in a way where nothing really surprises us. Even a UAP report, something that 5 years ago, just a UAP report would be breaking news for weeks, months, maybe even years, right? Depending on when it was. So I just got an email actually from Steven. Tyler, an emergency development, and I was picked up at the hotel to deal with it. Didn't take my phone or computer. The situation stretched out. Okay. So something did happen. I can no longer read that email aloud. Something did happen.
Well, I do hope Steven's all right.
Yes. So unfortunately, I'm going to email him back momentarily, but so yeah, he will probably not be joining tonight. But we will reschedule it. And Tom, you'll be there. So
I appreciate
guys, thank you so much for sticking around. And yeah, we'll see you next time. No, I'm just kidding. No, I promise this interview will happen. Clearly something, it didn't feel right to me. Something happened, so my intuition was on. And Steven doesn't seem like a guy who would just bail. So back to what I was saying, Avi Loeb and his team, the Galileo Project, openly talking about crash retrieval and a public crash retrieval program that they're undertaking with Project Galileo. This was in the news for a matter of 2 days. Like, all these things would be breaking news for months and weeks and years. Just a few short years ago. And now it's happening on a regular, consistent basis. So, I mean, do you agree that the public is being, molded into something that's a little bit more tolerant of the ET presence?
I do. I think it's been happening pre-2017 as well. I think this particular phase that we're in, I think I can mark it back in my own brain to maybe around, I want to say like 2013, 2014. There was a shift. And at that time, unfortunately, there were a lot of nonsense YouTube channels that kind of ruled the landscape. I'm not going to name them, but we all kind of know who I'm talking about. As far as putting fake CGI footage out, there was a lot of stuff going on that I was seeing in the background that a lot of other people didn't notice, because it wasn't just like available right away on an easily digestible platform like YouTube. This was happening in forums. It was happening, on websites that were just kind of scattered and random. But I do feel that the public is being indoctrinated, and it's being put on a path to being in this mindset of accepting the fact that we are not at the top of the food chain, because that does bother a lot of people. Whereas like with me, I have always assumed that we weren't. So it's like if I've said this on your show before too, if I walk out into a forest, there's the danger of a mountain lion. Like, I already live that way. I don't walk around like I'm the top dog.
Right.
There's things in the environment that can just kill me at will, pretty much.
Right.
Bison, whatever.
But we're the top of the food chain in other ways.
Intelligently,
right?
Yeah.
Like, collectively. So the same way, one wolf isn't necessarily a danger, a pack is. That's the way we are. So Tank says something really fucking good here. The rep from Tennessee, Tim Burchett is saying that he thinks Congress has been compromised, and he's saying this publicly. Now, I've seen this. I've seen him say this. I mean, this is unprecedented. The way he's, kind of going at this. And I have so much respect for Tim Burchett. We all like to focus our attention on Rubio and what's the other name? What is her name?
Oh, I know.
God, what?
Is it Gillibrand?
Gillibrand, thank you. Gillibrand. So we all focus our attention on Gillibrand and Rubio, but Tim Burchett is, I mean, he's even gone on Ancient Aliens. Like, that's how, and he's a believer in the sense that UFOs have been here and have been coming here since, before we were here. So he is he's so open-minded. Now, of course, that causes some sort of, bias, but at least he's willing to have the conversation and question things. And to see that in Congress is amazing. It really is. And then, we have people like Rubio and then people like Gillibrand who are actively pushing language in the NDAA and quote unquote whistle. I wish Steve was here to yell at me. He was the first one who yelled at me when I called it whistleblower language, because it's not. But yeah, so we are definitely being herded in one direction, and
sure,
that is a direction of disclosure, in my opinion.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the other thing, too, I think this is important to make note of, too. I understand that Rubio and Burchett, we all know what party they come from. Like, I want to make it very clear that, like, I'm focused on this particular issue. I don't care who is Republican or Democrat in this situation. I just want to make that really clear. Like,
and it's crazy.
My political thinking is I'm leaving that private at this point because things are just way too out of control at this point.
And what's crazy? The UFO or the UAP topic in politics is so far bipartisan, right? We have Gillibrand and Rubio who are Democrat and Republican respectively, and then Tim Burchett is a Republican. But for the most part, UAP dealings have all somewhat been bipartisan.
Yes.
So that is a good thing. I think this needs to be a bipartisan thing, and it can't be like the capital C-19. It cannot be a political battleground, because that is not how we are going to approach this correctly.
I agree with that. And that's funny because one of the questions that I was going to ask Mr. Bassett was that, does he feel that there is a potential danger in play right now for this subject to kind of fall into that left-right paradigm where, the Collins elite-esque individuals in the background that are concerned that this is going to open up some portal to hell, or the fears that are based on their religious dogma, spiritual dogma, are they going to try to make some kind of maneuver where they take this subject and they kind of lump it in with the Q crowd or any of that, and kind of what's the word? Remove the credibility.
Yeah, delegitimize.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't even know if that's really that's the word I want to say, but it's like, I'm not going to sit here and search it. Like, am I saying this right? I'm such a stickler with my own grammar. But yeah, that's the concern, right? It's like, I don't want this to become a situation where if you talk about UFOs, someone then immediately makes an assumption on your political values and ideals and beliefs. This has nothing to do with any of that. Like, politically speaking, Burchett, I don't know what his voting record is. I'm hyper focused on what he's doing with this. Same thing with Rubio. Me and Rubio probably disagree on like 95% of everything.
Right. But
this
you
this
agree
has
on
nothing to do with it.
one topic, and
Right.
that's a topic that shouldn't be politicized in the first place.
And I will give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and we are the ones who need it to be congressional. We need this in the Senate. We need this in Congress. We need this on the floor of the House. We need this issue being handled by the government. It sucks. It sucks because, the government of the old are the same ones who caused this whole stigmatization. And, it sucks that you have to kind of work with your enemy. But and this is what I love about Steve, is he admits or acknowledges the fact that if we keep calling them criminals, they're not going to work with us. They're not going to play ball because they're not going to want you to start asking, or start jeopardizing their way of life. We see what happens when you back politicians into corners. And trust me, it's not good for anybody. And that's not what our government should be about. It's a government that's by the people, for the people. And, we need this to be a bipartisan, first of all, but we also need this to be interactive between government and citizenship.
Oh, absolutely. We can't go in the direction of a lot of other things.
The military-industrial complex is one thing, and they're already an issue that we're dealing with, but this needs to be not just governmental, but civilian as well.
Agreed. And hopefully something I've been thinking about a lot recently, maybe, just maybe, if this all goes in the direction that we kind of all want it to, maybe it will set a new precedent for how we handle other areas of science that we don't understand. The paranormal, ESP, consciousness, life after death, all of these things that, in my personal opinion, based on everything I've ingested over my entire life, there's clearly validity to these things. I mean, I don't know.
The government didn't just study remote viewing for no reason.
Right. And, and
they've had very, very high success.
Green Street put out a tweet, I think it was yesterday, and he called OSAP, the study and research that OSAP was doing at Skinwalker Ranch, wacky. So does that now mean that whenever we study anything
wait, say that again.
So Green Street, he put out a tweet, and he referred to the research OSAP was doing at Skinwalker Ranch as being wacky. And I look at it, and again...
See, that's a terrible choice of words for a journalist who claims that he wants to bring destigmatization to this topic.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the way you go about it. Again,
he's a clown.
Like,
I hate to say it. I know you won't say it on air. I'll say it. I'll say it for both of us. Stephen Greenstreet, you're a fucking clown. You know what? You have real potential. Your videos and your quality and your ability for research is immaculate. I don't know if you have someone writing for you or what, but you do know how to make videos. You know how to make content. You know how to make good, entertaining content. But you are just a smug dickhead, and that is what makes people not like you. If you just change your personality a little bit, people would really like you and take you seriously. But when you act like that, it's an immediate turnoff.
It is. And again,
same reason people don't like Mick West.
I respect Mick West more.
We need skeptics. We need skeptics, but we don't need dickheads.
In my interaction with him on Twitter, like, a very, very nice guy. To be honest, I don't.
Yeah, and he knows what he's talking about. But sometimes So the problem here is the problem that we also face on the other side. Mm-hmm. We have our preconceived notions right? And we approach our, so we see a video of a UFO, and we go into it wanting to prove that it happened. He goes into it wanting to prove it didn't happen, right? So we both start from a point of bias. What we need to do is start from a neutral perspective and follow the facts, right? And oftentimes Mick does follow the facts, but he often also gets caught up in, like, the Calvine UFO photo. He was so quick to dismiss it. And some of Mick's research is amazing, but also some of the shit that he's put forward is more outlandish than the actual story itself.
Yeah, his debunking of the Calvine photo specifically was highly confusing to me. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that this is a reflection in water that somebody photographed? I'm like,
well, it made sense.
Something like that. No, I get that, but like, why would they take that photo? And again, there's a lot of corroborating individuals that said that this photo existed, and they knew that it was a photo of something extraordinary.
It was pretty crazy how fucking similar the recreation rendered by witness testimony was with the actual photo.
And that's I saw dude, trust me, I went deep.
It was remarkably
really
close. So that just goes to show you, on some of these recreations that they do, like, they do a really good job of recreation.
And again, apparently, Nick Pope said this was hanging in the office, back when he was still doing his due diligence.
Yeah, so when he was at the Ministry of Defense, they were the ones who obtained that photo because it was out of Scotland, right? Mm-hmm. And they had the photo on the wall of the office of the Ministry of Defense. That was the office that they created for UFOs. And then the admiral or whoever came in and took it, or the admiral came in and saw it, and then the next day when Nick came in, it was gone, and never to be seen again until recently. And but again, Nick,
let me just ask you this, and anybody else that's listening in on this podcast. Let me ask you this. Do you honestly think that someone would go through the trouble of doing that? There's this delay in the report. Why would you do all of these things if it's a reflection in water or airborne trash or Chinese drones? I mean, you brain for a second.
A hoax. The only logical explanation was they saw something that maybe, So here's my conclusion. It's either one of two things. It's either A, legitimate, right? Or B, some variation of a hoax where they looked and they saw something, and maybe like at quick glance, it startled them, and they were like, "Oh shit! Like, that kind of looks like a UFO. It startled me," and they were like, "Wow, this would be a really good picture for like a hoax." Right. Maybe not, just for fun, and then it got taken out of, because the UFO world tends to blow things up. And who knows? The problem is the people who took the picture at the time were 20-year-old people who worked on in the area at a resort, on this for the summers, and they have not yet come forward and provided their testimony publicly. So all we have is the picture and the story that is told through other people. So, as far as and you know what I hated about the Calvine UFO photo is it was touted as like the Holy Grail, and then when it came out, I was like, wow, this is so lackluster, because I immediately said Mick West is going to eat this up, and sure enough, he ate it up. Yeah, right?
Well, maybe
because it was so easily debunkable.
Yeah, but I think it's real.
No, whether it's real or not, it was so easy to debunk it just by happenstance.
No, yeah, I'm with you on that. So like we need something that is a lot more
Yeah, we need the fucking 23-minute
higher
video Lou
resolution.
Elizondo spoke about
Yes.
that potentially shows occupants. Or the Holloman Air Force landing. Those
That
two
would do it.
are the holy grail. Those
Yep.
are what we should be searching for.
Yep.
Or the footage of the being from Virginia that
Yes.
is that is speculated to be real.
I don't know. James Fox seems to really think. I'll go as far as saying this. I think James Fox has
He's
seen some
offered
evidence.
money for it.
I think he's seen some evidence and confidence that he.
I
Can
know
talk
he
about.
has.
Yeah.
I know he has.
Yeah. I mean, he's so.
I can't tell you how I know, but
That's
I
all right.
know he has seen something that has allowed him to, because he's not putting the money up. Someone else is.
Mhm.
And it's through him. So he's only doing that because he has evidence or has at least seen something to provoke him enough to put this out there.
And I know this is actually a really important topic that we should touch on. A lot of people, you go on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere, people get very frustrated when they hear something like that. Like, well, I've seen some things, but I can't talk about it right now, or oh, that type of thing. People have to understand that
This subject, like the rug could be pulled out from under your feet at any moment.
threatened. I mean, watch Moment of Contact. I mean, there were people. Maybe that's why these gentlemen related to the Calvine photograph haven't come out. Perhaps they were spooked by somebody that knocked on their door. You have to understand that there is a process, and there's a lot of times a chain of custody where a lot of people are like, hey, look, I have this thing, I know this, that, and the other, but I was threatened by so and so, and they have reason enough to believe that there could be some danger involved. So you got to take that into consideration, because I get it. It's like, I want to know. We all want to know, and it's frustrating, but we have to kind of let the process play out. I hate to say trust the process, but like in this particular situation, I mean, I don't know if we're really left with any other options. I think we just have to remain patient. We have to just keep pressing. There's people pressing back, but look at how far we've come. Obviously, something is working. So we need to just, remain on this particular trajectory for as long as possible. And, again, contact your local representatives in government. I've done it. I've emailed local representatives in my state, in my town, in my county. I've done it and said, this matter is important to me. And they answered me. They were receptive.
Yeah, they should
They showed interest.
because they're constituents and they're people. And the more and more we demand answers from our elected officials, the more and more that they're going to have to address these things. And they're not only going to have to address these things, they're going to have to start using them in their campaigns, right? Because, if we can bring this into, more mainstream politics, like where people, running candidates also are involved, we could get people running on platforms of UFO transparency, or at least government transparency in general. And I think, that could go a long way in a candidate's favor. And it's only a matter of time till one of these guys tries using that as a tactic, because it hasn't been done before, right? And in politics, standing out is often a good thing. So, who's to say what the next 2-3 years holds in terms of, now with the NDAA passed and language written so that people can come forward into Congress and tell their story. People like Commander Fravor, who's already spoke in front of Congress, but people like Kevin Day, who I'll be accompanying to Congress, to people like Ryan Graves, who have also already spoken in front of Congress. People like Gary Voorhees, anyone on the Nimitz, anyone on the Russell, anyone on all these ships. Could you imagine a day where we watch Bob Lazar walk into Congress?
That would be something. Really would be.
Would
I
it
think it's
not be the
very possible.
ultimate vindication?
It would be. Again, I got his autograph on my wall. Just whether the guy told the truth or not, it's still a piece of history, right? But I personally believe his story. And that would be a shocking moment. And I'll say this right here, right now on this podcast. I feel we're in 2023. I truly, in my heart and in my soul, believe that between 2023 and 2024 is going to be big. I mean,
Something in your gut?
it's something in my gut. Yeah. And again, I'm not predicting anything or making dates. I'm just telling you how I feel, just as a person.
I
on a
kind of felt
human
similar the
level.
other day.
Just on a human level. I do. And, the fact that I just had some weird experiences myself over the last couple of months, that, I don't know, that kind of spoke to me in a weird way. That I felt like, for lack of a better way of saying it, it's almost like the phenomenon is like closing in on me. And
Yeah, it's a good way to say it.
And I know listen, I get it. It sounds wacky to people, but I'm a very grounded, level-headed individual. I studied hard when I was in school. I went to college. I have a degree. I'm not someone who is known to say outlandish, wacky things. But these things do come off outlandish and wacky, and I don't know what to tell you, honestly. I mean, go listen to all these other podcasts, read these books. There's a lot of people who are much smarter than Ty and myself that say things that are way, way more out there than what I'm saying now. But I'm telling you, I feel like there is a presence that knows that I'm seeking it. It just feels that way, and I don't know how to explain that.
Maybe the phenomenon led us all to right now, right here, right at this moment.
Right. How do we? I mean, again, we only understand so much about this universe. We see this much of the light spectrum. John Keel talked about the super spectrum, and
dude, our universe is not even real locally.
I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know what real actually means, Ty. Like, what does that even mean at this point? It's like Morpheus in the Matrix. What is real? How do you define real?
I have to take this moment. So just pause for 1 sec. I have to take this moment, and I almost forgot, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, as you can see from Tom's getup and my own, we were dressed for the occasion of interviewing Stephen Bassett. Unfortunately, something happened with Stephen tonight. It's not my place to say, but he did email me, and he did let me know that there was an emergency that he had to take care of. So we apologize. We will get this. We will get that interview rescheduled, potentially for the last Sunday of the month, because that slot is still open. And we'll talk more about our schedule going forward. Also, Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday are the new days. So Sunday is the podcast, and Wednesday and Friday, or Monday. I don't even know what I just said. Whatever 2 days I just said are the YouTube exclusive videos. So all that being said, head over now, get your Total Disclosure merch, which is now available on Teespring. Use code ALIEN and get 10% off store-wide as an early bird discount. Do that now. Movie Palette also allows you to put your favorite scene on canvas. Get 15% off your order of a new movie palette by using code CultureCorner15 at checkout, www.moviepalette.com. Again, that's www.moviepalette.com. Use code CultureCorner15 at checkout. Also, sign up for TubeBuddy as a content creator myself, I use TubeBuddy every single day. And to get help with my video analytics, my title ideas, my SEO, assisting, and so much more, I literally use it every single day. I'm not joking. For this show and, for others I help produce. So use code POP at checkout, www.tubebuddy.com/POP, and you will get a discount on your monthly membership. If you're a content creator, podcaster, and you're not using TubeBuddy or things like vidIQ, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Trust me, it is so worth it. Also, call into the show at any time using our Google Voice number 857-496-5097, or email the show. All of our links are in the description below. Get in contact. We're going to do more witness accounts. We're going to do more narrations. We're going to do more, so much more. And I'm filming in Catalina Island this month, guys. It is happening. Marlena and myself are going to Catalina Island the 16th to the 21st. It's going to be amazing. I'm filming my whole journey, and it is going to come out as a short film. So I'm super excited. Tom, how excited are you for this Catalina thing? You're muted for some reason.
Muted myself while you were doing your thing there. Sorry. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very happy that you're able to go, because this is such an interesting place, right? I'd go with you if I could. You know what I mean? Like, if
well,
that was
yeah, I know you, but it's also doubling as a vacation for
right.
Marlena and myself. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. By the way, also, Time Travel Con is coming up on 1/14/2023. Tom will be there. I'll be there. Get your tickets now for only $20. It's a virtual conference, so that means you can enjoy it from the comfort of your own home with video on demand, or watching it live. There'll be 6 speakers, and you'll gain exclusive access included. So visit www.timetravelcon.com now. The link is in the description below, guys. Get your tickets, $20. I got an ad coming out for it after the show ends. But trust me, it's going to be great. And it's going towards a project that I'm working on with Make Contact TV, which we'll talk about more at the end of this month. So back to it. This audience, this topic has done so much. It's opened so many doors for me. And I just think, could it be potentially that the phenomenon led us here to each other?
Sometimes it feels that way, right? I mean, I've met so many nice people on Twitter. Honestly, like, there have been people, like, I had a really rough week, and I don't usually talk about that kind of thing, like, online. I'm not one to, post every 10 minutes, like, what I'm feeling, but it was just, it was really just a tough time. And I said a couple things, and dude, my inbox, like, within minutes just lit up, like, hey man, do you need someone to talk to? I was just like, I don't know. I was just like blown away by it. And so thank you everyone for doing that. And also being so supportive in the face of some difficulties, obviously, this evening, to stick around like that. A lot of people just dip. They just bounce out,
A lot of people would.
That's like it's such a courtesy.
It is. And we, because at one point we had, I think the top was 23 people waiting, and we started the show with 22 people still there, and it's fluctuated. I think we've had 100 and something people show up tonight live. So thank you so much, guys. You are truly part of the show. The show would not exist if it wasn't for the audience. I've always said that, even when I was doing my movie podcast. The chat, the audience, you guys are the most important part of the show, because without you, I'd be talking to a wall, basically. So let's talk. So Tank says, let's go back. I saw some questions.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the chat tonight. It's been very active.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, and we shouldn't contact them because they might destroy the Earth. These morons don't have a clue. I would love to hear about what that means a little bit more. Because part of you at all, Tom, do you think that there's malevolent either deities or malevolent beings that walk among us?
Yes.
Now, why do you come to that conclusion? How do you come to that conclusion? I'm not talking about like, the Men in Black. I'm talking about
I know what you're talking about.
A secret society, Men in Black where they hide everyone in real looking costumes. I'm talking about like things that really do lurk in the shadows.
Well, some of my own personal experiences have kind of steered me in that direction. People that I know, that I've talked to, have had some experiences in that area. I guess without making this too long of a story, I'll just say this. There was a haunted house that me and some friends used to kind of mess around in my early 20s. Just go in there, smoke pot, drink, you name it. Doing all of the typical delinquent activities that you would do in a dark, creepy Amityville horror-looking home in the middle of the woods on the side of a road. And I personally experienced the hitchhiker effect. So that's why my answer to your question is yes. And there is a video about it on my channel entitled "This House is Cursed," because that's how I felt about it. And it was to the point, Ty, that many years later, separated between my last visit and me returning, I went back to the property and literally in the woods by myself apologized to whatever was there. And
sometimes you have to do that.
I know it sounds weird.
Sometimes
to people,
you have to go make peace with the situation.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the house was no longer there at that point. But I will say this: an article came out about it because even though it was an abandoned home, it burned down. Obviously, so there was a story about it in the newspaper about a fire. And the fire chief was quoted as saying, "We never found a cause for the blaze. It's as if it burned itself to the ground." And that gave me chills like you would not believe. So,
really?
Yeah. And I saw things happen to people in the house. It wasn't just creepy noises. Like, I had a friend who passed out in that house. Like, there were things, Ty, off stream. I could tell you some more, that won't take up so much time here, obviously. Maybe this might be, or, maybe we could save it for a different day when we're more talking about hauntings or ghosts or things like that. But because I feel like this is very much connected to the phenomenon at large, whatever it is. But there were some things that happened that were scary as fuck, to be like really blunt.
Yeah, I got you. Billy Robert with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, Billy. Oh my God. By the way, no relation. My last name's Roberts with an S. Billy's been a fan since day one. Well, not day one, but like month one. Where's Steven? Steven had an emergency tonight, and he will be rescheduling the interview for very soon. It's just an emergency took place, and we wanted to still have a show tonight because we dressed for the occasion and we got all ready, and why not, right? Why not?
Yeah, it's life happens.
Life does happen, yes. But thank you, Billy, again for that. Super chats, super stickers, memberships. They all support the channel. Patreon memberships as well. I'm working on integrating those with the YouTube so that if you're a member of one, you're a member of all. So that'll be coming soon. Yearly gifts. So a sweatshirt. You have to be a member for a year, but then you get like a sweater or sweatshirt or T-shirt on us, and a sticker right when you sign up. So Lisa gets the first sticker.
Very cool.
Anyway, UFOs over. So I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but Ben Hansen. Are you familiar with Ben?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Now, do you remember the Firefly UFOs?
Yes. Yes.
Now, Stephen Greenstreet also made fun of those a lot,
Hmm.
saying that they were just lights in the sky. What did you think of those videos?
Well, I think there was a couple clips
Or
where I
what do you
wasn't
think
so
of Ben
sure.
Hansen, I suppose? Do you think, I mean, I know he used to work for the FBI, but he just seems
Right.
kind of like corny.
I don't know. You know what I think it is? I think he's been very much sculpted by the TV world. Like he comes off like you're watching an episode of something. But that report he did not that long ago about the airline pilots and some of that footage, that was
Yeah, no, that
pretty
was
damn
really well done.
legit. So he obviously he has connections, he has contacts, and I think his heart's in the right place. So I have no issues with him at this point in time. Is he going to make mistakes and maybe post something that ends up getting debunked? Sure, it happens to every one of us. But I feel like on camera, I feel like he's very much been trained to be like a TV guy. But I watched
Right.
a
No, you're
presentation
you're
he
you're
did.
you're you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Right.
You're
I mean,
not wrong.
but I don't think that's not enough to drive me away from hearing what somebody has to
And it's
say.
not even a bad thing. He's done well for himself. His show UFO Witness is actually really good.
I
Um,
enjoyed it.
and honestly, I'm taking inspiration from my own show.
Yeah,
You know,
I think he's done a
so
good job thus far. And again, I watched a presentation that he
some
did.
parts are
It was good.
corny, but
Yeah, it happens.
well, that's what I'm aiming to take out of UFO TV is like the corniness. Like I want more stuff to be like James Fox's Moment of Contact, James Fox's Phenomenon,
Agreed.
James Fox's, pretty much any of James Fox's films are 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 great examples. But also Ryan Nickerson did Aerial Phenomenon. Aerial spelled like the school because it was the Zimbabwe aerial school incident. Like documentaries that take it seriously. They don't use scary alien cutscenes or dramatic sci-fi alien esque music. You
Hmm.
know, it's true filmmaking and true documentary filmmaking, and that's what we need more of, and that's what I'm aiming to do. Like the Catalina Island documentary I'm doing. Like, wait till you see the tone of that.
Yeah.
The I'll give you guys a sneak peek. The film opens with me and Kevin Day on the phone and him telling me how important what I'm doing is.
That's
So
awesome.
right from jump, we establish the emotional connection, the mission, the struggle, the conflict, and the destination,
That's
all
very
in
cool.
one opening scene. And that's who I am. I'm a filmmaker at heart.
Yeah, and again, I feel like that's going to give you the ability to kind of combine a lot of the things that you're good at. This is why I do what I do. Like I grew up wanting to be a rock star. I'm a guitar player, but I also like to paint and I like to take photographs and film but then it's like, okay, here's this big UFO thing. It's like, well, how can I combine all the things that I'm good at? And it's like, well, here's a YouTube channel, right? I can make my own music. I can do this. I can do that because I'm very slowly also working on a documentary about something that allegedly occurred very close to where I live. There was allegedly a landing at Fort Dix-McGuire Air Force Base back in the 70s, and I'm personally investigating that. It's within driving distance of me. It's tough
Oh
to
yeah,
get on
why
the
don't you
base.
we never got to talk about that the other night, but there's a case that you're investigating right now. Could you shed some light on what's going like an overview if you will?
Yeah, so back in the 70s, okay, so a
I'm going to
little
give you center
preface.
stage on this
Oh,
one
thanks. I
actually.
appreciate that. So back in the 70s,
You can use this as a snippet.
yeah. That's a great idea, actually. So back in the 70s, at Fort Dix-McGuire Air Force Base here in New Jersey, apparently there was a craft of some kind that landed on the tarmac. And what allegedly happened was beings did exit the craft. And unfortunately, the military wasn't really having it and decided to fire upon these beings, and apparently one or multiple beings were killed. Everyone was sworn to secrecy. But now, have you heard of George Filer?
No.
So Filer runs, and I believe that I want to make sure I'm getting his name right. George, I believe he wrote a book about his time in the military and his connections to what's been happening with it's George A. Filer. Um, he's had a lot of he's crossed paths with the phenomenon on multiple occasions.
Okay.
Throughout his military career, and he, I believe, was the one that made the McGuire story public. And now I'm reading a book that he wrote. I just want to make sure that I give everybody the absolute correct title. Actually, it's right on my phone. And in this book, he talks about, there's a lot of different things. He wrote it with another individual too. But in the book, there is apparently, because I haven't gotten to it yet, a significant portion that is dedicated to this particular story where there was a being that was shot and killed on the base, sadly. And it's, okay, so here's the book. It's called Strange Craft. The true story of an Air Force intelligence officer's life with UFOs. Now, Filer wrote the book with a gentleman by the name of John L. Guerra, and I am on chapter 10. And some of the information about this is contained within the book. And I will say this about Fort Dix-McGuire. I live very close to it. I grew up next to it. I've heard a lot of stories, and a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, his father, when he was younger, when he was a teenager, remembers seeing this craft at the exact time that it apparently landed on the tarmac. So there is some corroborating witness evidence here. I'm seeking out some other people, and this is going to be a tough one because it happened so long ago.
Definitely tough.
But in the least, what I would like to do, if I'm not going to uncover anything new or get new witnesses, I just wanted to try my hand, because I've always wanted to make a documentary, and I was like, this would be a cool one because it happened right near my house.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, let's see what I can put together, see what I can do editing wise.
Well,
and maybe
if
just
you
tell
need
the
help
story.
with it,
yeah, man. I mean, hey, I'll
if
I'll
you
let you know.
if you film it,
Yeah.
I can assist with editing.
That would be
all
wonderful.
I'd ask is that, when we do the credits,
Oh, dude.
yeah,
Say no more.
I could, yeah, definitely. I would definitely love to, and then I could feature it on my channel as well.
Yeah, man. I'm always down to help you with whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm essentially like a de facto part of your channel at this point since I'm here so often. So yeah, I appreciate that like immensely, and I just wanted to put it together in a cohesive way to tell the story, in which no one else has before. Right? There's a million documentaries about Roswell. There aren't any about this one. So I'm like, hey, let me give it a shot and in the least tell the story and shed some light on it because it's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, and if it's if it does well enough, we can sell it to Make Contact TV and have it featured on television.
That would be unreal.
Yeah, unreal.
That would be
I
unreal,
know
man.
mine is going to television.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
We're
really
working
great.
working on a deal right now with another company as well. But anyway, listen, I know we didn't talk about much, but we're still going to keep talking. I want to talk to you about time travel.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Time travel. What are your thoughts on genuine? Now, could UFOs that we're seeing, and I know, guys, tonight's not been the most riveting of shows, but again, give us some slack. We had a different show planned. Time travel con I am promoting. So time travel is something I didn't really dive too far in. The only time travel I've seen recently is in Avengers, right? or Back to the Future or anything like that. Or those are the last times I've thought about it. It's in media. What are your thoughts on legitimate time travel? Could some of the UFOs we'd be seeing be us from the future?
Oh, it's always possible. No,
or us from the way past, of a past advanced civilization that come here just as how time is a construct. Well,
right.
Who knows that they aren't showing up? What if they show up a year from now, and it's world news, but they just left? Like, to them, they just left.
That is such a great idea. That's something that I have considered.
Like, what would happen? What are the implications for that? Is time travel too messy? Like, could we buy? Like, my fear of time travel is if it was commercially available, like, everyone would just change time all the time, and that would create real issue.
Well, okay.
There's no way time travel could be managed.
I agree with you. However, with what I believe about, not necessarily believe, but what I think, what I theorize as far as time travel, it wouldn't work that way. So I've listened to guys like Castro,
so there'd be no butterfly effect.
Right. So, like, all right, there's apparently evidence that time may be non-linear, right? So that would mean also potentially, and try to wrap your head around this one, that the past, the present, and the future, it's just all one flat plane, right? Like, everything is happening at once everywhere, right? But we perceive it from our perspective, biologically speaking, as being in a linear fashion. And I will say,
that's
I
just how our
totally believe in
brains...
non-local consciousness too, because this kind of ties into that. So what I think may happen is if you were to figure out a way to either go forward or backward in time, you may just be creating another timeline. Like, for example, if you go back and stop the Titanic from sinking,
you just create a branch timeline.
Yes, exactly. So, like, here's we'll actually go vertical with it. Here's time.
Kind of like Loki.
Right. So here's time, right? And here you are, the time traveler, right? You arrive at the destination in time, right? But we'll look at time as like it's a physical space, and you've now changed an event in history. Say you killed Hitler,
but before
World War II.
Which timeline do you end up in?
Well, it depends on where you are. So right now, you're in this timeline where you and I sit, and everybody in the chat, right? You now travel through time. But as soon as you do that, you've already branched. That's it. And how you go back and forth between them, that's for much smarter people in the world.
So that would be, so, in order for that to be the case, you'd have to, there would have to be a multiverse or
not
infinite Earths.
Omniverse. We're talking about infiniverse, where, again, we're talking about the idea that there's another universe or dimension somewhere where right now, instead of me holding the vape in my left hand, I'm now doing it in my right hand. Like, it gets that complex.
Well,
it's like
we
this
know
fractal.
We know that time can be manipulated because the closer, and this is from Einstein himself,
Gravity.
The closer that you get to the speed of light, the slower time, is. There's
dilation.
Yeah.
When you get to the edge of a black hole, watch the movie Interstellar. That's like a really good example.
Some of the physics are off, but the
but it's
but they do a good job of. Interstellar is like literally one of my favorite movies. So
me too.
I highly recommend it. By the way, to anybody.
I think it's the greatest space related movie ever.
Yeah. I would agree. No. Well, yeah. No. You're right. Because I was gonna say Arrival, but Arrival was in space.
Right. Yeah. Arrival's like
Arrival's
this
on
First
another
Contact
level.
movie.
Arrival's on another level.
Totally
But
like in the
um,
stratosphere.
shit. What were we talking about?
We were talking about time, and so yes, I do believe time travel is very possible. And now I'd have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure I had heard that not only have physicists in the last 15 years teleported particles, and I know that part to be true, but I'm pretty sure they did some experiments with particles that they were able to send them back through time or forward through time. Like I've heard that. I know I've heard
these are
that.
things
And the
that
Mandela
actually
effect.
happened.
Like I know some people personally that believe the Mandela effect is a residue of some of the stuff that they're doing over at like the Large Hadron Collider. And I know that gets into like really like, I don't know, tinfoil hat area where it's like a little wacky to some people, but it's like, how do we know? Right? Like maybe that really is what's going on, because there's things that I remember that are apparently not true anymore. Like, mirror, mirror on the wall and like all this stuff. It's like, I remember it. Like
those
really
scenarios, those Mandela effect like scenarios really freak me out.
They're very strange. I don't think it's just some mass paranoia or some mass delusion either. I think it's something else.
You want to hear my theory on like deja vu and instinct and all that?
I have deja vu very often.
Yeah, so do I. So speaking of time travel, this doesn't really relate, I guess, necessarily, but kinda. But I'd be interested to hear what everyone else has to say about this as well. Now, my belief is that there's, much energy cannot be created. Not energy. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed.
Energy. It's energy.
No, it's matter.
I was always told it was energy when I was in high school.
No, it's energy can be created. What are you talking about?
No, seriously. Here, wait. Let's Google.
You combust. Look, you combust coal. You ignite coal and you create energy.
All right, so here, Google. I said energy cannot be created or destroyed. And it says the law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only converted from one form of energy to another.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. So look it up. It's actually matter. So saying the what we're speaking about, the actual phrase is matter cannot be created nor destroyed.
Right. I understand where you're at now. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally. I get it.
Yes. Energy. Yes. There is an energy transfer, but coal is compressed, right?
Matter can change form through physical and chemical changes, but through any of these changes, matter is conserved. The same amount of matter exists before and after the change. None is created or destroyed. It's the law of conservation of mass. Yes. Like.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Now, so my theory is that in our soul, whatever our soul is, now, I tend to believe nowadays that consciousness is our soul, right?
Me too.
And there is a one consciousness, and we are radios, and consciousness is the signal, right? So even if the radio is destroyed, the signal is still being broadcast.
Bingo.
Right? Now, I think we might even have to do multiple trials as human beings on this planet. Now, this is where it gets a little murky in that area, but to move past that, I think instinct comes from, like, why does a baby turtle who is born on the top of the beach instinctively comes out of its egg and instinctively goes to the water, right? Goes to the water, all of them. Yes, some of them get eaten by seagulls and other things, but they instinctively, and even though that danger is there, they still, it happens every time, right? Instinctively know. Just as us, there's something to do with our instincts, right? We all have them. Instincts, feelings, vibes, right? Deja vu. what if all of this is connected in a way, right? What if it is glimpses into, because I think you as a human, you're always going to be a human. Your energy, soul, your consciousness is your consciousness. And you're always going to be a human no matter what. You're not going to be reincarnated as a turtle, because that wouldn't be an efficient model. Reteaching every, because energy and matter can't be destroyed nor created, you have to constantly recycle it. Just like, how rain falls down and then evaporates and then comes back down. And, this same series that we see all throughout the universe, right? This cycle, this circular, if you envision it, the circular cycle. I think that is the same. Yes, I think that's the same for our human condition, or why dogs have their own intuition, and I think all of this is connected in a way, because I think that it maybe doesn't mean you'll always be a man or anything, but I think instinct is we've been in these situations before, and we over time our soul or our consciousness is taking more information in, and once we achieve a certain amount of information, or once we achieve our goal here on earth, or in the physical sense, then we join again with the one consciousness after that final death.
My dad and I had a conversation about that really randomly one time. We were driving.
I know I just got really deep.
No, but this is like, dude, these are things that I think about when I'm like laying in bed at night.
Wow,
like,
we have
seriously.
17 comments that happened while my speech.
Yes, there's a lot of people active about this one. So I'll give you a recommendation for you specifically, Ty, and of course anybody else that's interested in what we're talking about here. Watch and read Leslie Kean's Surviving Death, the Netflix show, and read her book of the same title. The evidence for reincarnation is staggering.
Like people remembering past lives.
But it's not even just that. It's like
remembering details, or scars being birthmarks.
Similarities.
Birthmarks being scars.
Yes.
Or birthmarks being. I have a birthmark I would show you guys, but it's like borderline on my ass.
It's risque.
Yeah, it's risque. Maybe I can show it.
I'll just do it.
See
okay.
that?
Gotcha. Yep.
So, what the fuck? What if I got shot?
Mine.
What if I got shot?
I have just this.
Dude, mine's like
leg.
this.
Right, you look like you died a death, man.
Like I died a fucking death, dude.
It looks like maybe I got killed by like a steroid.
That's why I'm short now, because I got shot for being like a drug dealer or something. I don't know, or just like a scumbag.
I was a basketball player in my past life,
and that's why I'm a podcaster now, because I'm it's they're like he's gonna want to be a podcaster because he doesn't want to make any money.
So yeah, man, read Leslie Kean's book and go watch the show on Netflix, but also much older publication, not even a publication. This is what my dad talked to me about. Go read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. That's a fascinating read. He told me one time we were in the car, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but he was like, "Yeah, Tom, I think that when you die, your individual consciousness rejoins what he called the goop consciousness." And that's kind of where I'm at. And then the other book you can read is The Field by Lynn McTaggart. Believe Edgar Mitchell was a big fan of that book. I'm pretty sure Edgar Mitchell gets referenced in that book a couple times, but just like you were talking about earlier, I think we are like this is kind of like a silly way that I say it for some people. We are like human beings are cars, right? And our soul is the driver of the car. Well, what do we all do in life with our cars? They eventually get old and break down. You got to buy a new car. I think it's literally like the same thing, but you can also I want to make a video about the way like I look at consciousness, and I want to do it like in like a whiteboard kind of style where I'm like, okay, here's I call it the snow globe. Like here's our third dimension. Everything outside of it is consciousness, like the field, and because it's getting transmitted and it's non-local, like this is it would explain how you could like why some people are able to predict the future. It's because they're literally receiving data and information that is from outside of our three-dimensional time space.
Right, it's from the one conscious.
It has the broad
and
view.
And we've already established that time is a blanket, right? It's not it's not linear. It's all happening at once, right? So they are able to pull that information from the ether.
It makes so much sense. And it seems so simple too. It's just like
did you hear about how the Varginha being spoke? Apparently, the Varginha being, the one that was alive, conveyed to a doctor that they feel bad for humans because we have all the potential of like a higher form of consciousness and to be higher beings, but we don't utilize it, and we haven't been taught to utilize it
because we don't know it per se.
Right. As this thing, by the way, telling this guy as he's taking control, the being was taking control of his hands so that the being could work on itself through the other guy. So, like, imagine being told that while that's happening. Like, you're seeing what apparently we have the capability of doing. Like, I'd be fucking, like, I'd search my whole life. I'd search my whole life for how to become that.
I'd cry.
And you know how I think that happens? Is you and I are going to raise our own children in a world where we're open and we meditate with them and we teach them meditation, but more of the world needs to be like us, where we introduce our children to these ideas very young so that their brains, while still developing, are absorbing all that information.
That's absolutely right.
Classes in elementary school need to be taught on this stuff.
Meditations, such an important part of my life.
Instead of nap time, let's do meditation time.
Right. Yes. God. And if you fall asleep during it, you still get those benefits. Like, you're still just clearing out, and especially with how digital our society has become, like, I feel like everyone should meditate. You gotta unplug.
Tank says these boys are onto something.
Tank, you're onto something, knowing that we're onto something. Tank's been like the man in the chat. He's just saying something huge like every 5 minutes. I'm just like, yo, Tank, like, you're just winning the day.
If you had the opportunity at the end of your life and they told you we could upload your brain onto a computer and give you immortality, but it wouldn't be you. You would die, but that would be there in the world still. So, like you, as you are right now, you would be gone, but you wouldn't be gone.
Well,
because it would almost be like a clone of you.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're saying because believe it or not, I've thought. Yeah, well, I think everyone should probably be able to believe it by now if you know anything about me. I have thought about this before. So there's two versions of this, right? There's what you're saying, and then there's if you just had the option to be immortal by way of uploading your actual consciousness, like it's you, it's actually your mind. Would you do it? So I wouldn't. I
would do yours. I wouldn't do mine.
Right. So okay. I've thought about this. So if it, I feel like I do not want to actually tamper with the natural order of my human life. I'm scared of death. It's like my actual ultimate fear. I'll open up a little
It's
bit
all.
personally, but
Hey, hold on. Let's clear the air here. I don't care who the fuck you are or how badass you think you are. I don't care if you're Tom Cruise, who does his own stunts on the high rise of buildings,
yeah.
but then gets on the ground and goes to Scientology. So I mean, he's wacky in itself.
Xenu and the volcanoes and the whole nine.
Yeah. Every single person, their number one fear is death. No one wants to die. Nobody wants to die. Some people end up committing suicide and they get to that point where they don't want to live any longer, but nobody wants to die.
It's not like they were yearning for death. They were yearning for an escape from life.
Right. Or if they were in a better circumstance or had a better life, that's all they want. And because they can't have it, they want out. So that's a whole different topic. But everybody is scared of death, no matter who you are. Dude, my mother, I had her hand in my arms, in my hands, and she was telling me how she didn't want to die. Minutes before she died. And even till the last minute, because a lot of people have stories of how their family member looked at them and smiled and then was gone.
Yeah, it's
my mom didn't want to go.
Yeah, and that happens too. Some people are really ready in the moment. I my grandfather, he was ready. He was all right. He was okay. He was good. His will was like titanium. But he didn't want to leave us, but he was like, it's my time, because he believed in his heart that he was joining God. You know what I mean? He was a religious man, and just one of the most beautiful people I ever knew. And he was ready, man. He was really ready to go. He was like, this is it. And may God have mercy on my soul. He was. But everyone, like you were saying, everyone, maybe not to the same extent that certain people are. Some people are like, oh, I'm not afraid to die. But if it was staring you in the face, yeah, you would be a little scared. Yeah, you would be. But there is an exception. There is one exception that I can name as far as people who might look at death a little differently, because I knew someone. My mom's aunt had a near-death experience, and the wildest thing that woman ever said about that was she could not wait to die again. She was thrilled. She had that experience, and her fear of death was just gone, Ty, gone. And she meant it. She said it was the most peaceful, blissful, beautiful, extraordinary experience that she ever had. And that's the thing.
People who have near-death experiences often
everything.
Don't fear death any longer.
Yeah, they're the exception to this. But every average person that doesn't have that experience, you're afraid, of course. But this is why I research these things, because the more that gets proven, the more it gives me more satisfaction of saying to myself, hey, when you die, you're probably going to be all right, and something really interesting is probably going to happen, and you're probably going to go on. You know what I mean? That's my subconscious underlying search, where it's I just want to know because I'm scared. That's it. It's really that simple. They say as you get older, you do become less scared of it on average, though. My parents have told me that. But I think the evidence does point to there being something extraordinary that occurs that we don't fully understand. And there's been research that has already proved this. My brother's college did a major study on people that were in the ICU, and they were able to prove that people were having conscious experiences when their brains were shut off.
Yeah.
So something does happen that we don't understand, and science has proven that.
I respect Pitchforks or Cummings' belief in that we just die.
Right.
Because that the lights could just shut out, and I could back that up by saying, do you remember before you were born?
Right.
Or was it just nothingness and you knew nothingness?
There was nothing to remember, right?
There was nothing to remember because you weren't there, because you didn't exist, because nothing is nothing. And could that just be what happens again?
Right. And
that would suck.
Right. That's what I'm afraid of, is like,
or do we just not remember?
Right.
Are we because I don't know. I don't even want to think about that aspect of it.
It's a
because that is a little bit too heavy for me right now.
It's too heavy, so we'll stay away. It's too heavy for me.
Because the nothingness before being born scares me, because I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, I don't.
And it's not that I'm afraid to talk about it, but
that's what I'm really afraid of. Is to be more specific, I'm afraid of dying and then that just being it. Like that we're not going there tonight.
Yeah, I don't want to go there tonight.
So
we'll go there another night, though.
Yeah. But I will say, I really do.
I'm in like a happy mood, know. So
I believe, not think or theorize. I believe that there is much more to this universe than meets the eye. And just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We probably have very little figured out, even though it may seem like, think about all the collective knowledge of humanity. Like, we have obviously come so far, but I feel like we really don't even know what's ahead of us yet. And that if humanity survives, we're going places. The human will, determination, ingenuity, look at what it's done. Look at what we have created. And whether there was help or a nudge or whatever, we still had to do the heavy lifting. We still had to do the legwork. Whether extraterrestrials or interdimensionals or the phenomenon, whoever, had these gifting sites where they dropped some technology, we still had to figure it out. We still had to look at it without a manual. So, we have, as humans, done incredible things. It's just, there's no way we are anywhere near figuring out everything. We're just not. We're not even in the same universe with that. Yeah, we're just not. But I will say that I believe that the technological singularity may be the ultimate shifting moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of people right now, physicists and some other thinkers, and even a gentleman, a part of Midjourney, the AI art generator that I use, I was listening to their AMA the other day, and they were talking about the singularity. And he thinks that it's 10 to 15 years away. And that's not very far. Like, I don't think people realize
I think it's less than that. I think it's
possible.
I think it's 9 to 11 years.
I mean, just as an example, one of these days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream.
Neuralink is going to change. Neuralink, I think, is going to jump forward it.
Oh, like, all right. So I use Midjourney for AI art generating, and this thing is mind blowing. I'm using it for thumbnails, and I'm an artist myself. I don't claim to be the one who painted it. I'm using it to be able to tell the stories that I want to tell in a timely fashion. And it is not meant to replace other artists. I simply just cannot afford to let someone paint me 100 pictures that I can use for my YouTube videos. I don't got that kind of money. So I have to do what I got to do and use the tools that I have. If this thing is doing what it's doing in its infancy, like, I don't think people really realize how fast we're moving, Ty. Like, I don't think I even know. Like, it may not feel that way, right? But because you only have access to so much information, but I have heard many times that behind the scenes that, like, we're already like on the verge of creating like virtual reality headsets that interface with your consciousness. And I'm serious. Like, that is no joke. The guy that owns Valve and Steam on PC.
Yeah.
I have the Valve Index sitting right behind me. that man said that. He said, the headset that they use in like Sword Art Online, the famous anime. He said you don't know just how close we are to
Well,
that.
look at
behind the
Unreal
scenes.
Engine.
Oh God, I know.
Look at Unreal
Engine
Engine and just picture that running like so. I don't know, in some form of augmented way that I don't know. They're like what I perceive as what inevitably will happen is, or at least the start of it. We're starting with the glasses, and then I think it's going to be contacts coupled with Neuralink. So that way, our contacts, there'll be something to do, make you like Iron Man, where you can kind of flip through things. But I truly think Neuralink is going to be the flag, or the crucial domino that turns the stack, towards this singularity. And I know Elon Musk is controversial, but Neuralink is not just Elon Musk. It's a team of people that are super, super talented.
It's his money.
It's just his money.
Damn thing. It's his money.
Yeah, it's his money. But we are gonna wrap up. I do want to say this. One last thing. Again, Time Travel Con is 1/14/23. It's only $20, guys. Please support us. Support Make Contact TV by getting your tickets to timetravelcon.com. Marshall Barnes, Andrew Bazaglio, Frank Jacob, Rob States, and Tim Swartz are all speaking, plus Lorian Fenton and myself will be there, and Tom will be joining as well. Worldwide online release on January 14th starting at noon. It's going to go till 6 p.m. So it's an all-day thing for just $20 from the comfort of your own home. We'd really appreciate you supporting it. It means the world to us. As always, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to help the sports channel further, become a member. Thank you to Lisa for becoming a member today. That means the world to me. Guys, I love you. I love you so much. You guys, the best audience I could ask for. Our schedule is Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So those nights are total disclosure nights, guys. Tom, where can they find you?
Cortex Zero on YouTube. There's so much new content coming. I really hope to see all of you guys there. You can find me on Twitter at Atomic Thomas. I'll even put it in the chat. Just change those O's to zeros. And also, I would just like to give a special thank you to all of you guys who were very patient tonight and were very understanding of the situation. I hope Stephen Bassett, whatever's going on, I hope he's all right. I wish him the absolute best for the rest of his evening. Still very much looking forward to speaking with him when we do. It's been a really, really fun night. You guys are like just the absolute best. Like, this community is amazing. Ty, and thank you for having me on. And I guess if you want, you can check out my website, ZeroDigitalDesigns.com. That's my company. But I really want to see you guys over on the YouTube channel, because that's where I have the most fun. So thank you for having me on again, Ty. This was really like a fascinating wing it conversation.
Yeah, kind of just a wing it thing, we had to do what we had to do, guys, and no call-ins. I'm getting sick of that. Guys, call in. Call the fuck in, or I'm going to start coming at you guys. Anything else to add? So we got to come up with because everybody's got that whole keep your eye to the sky, like end of the line, end of the podcast. Let me turn the dramatic music off. Everyone's got that, like for instance, when I did my movie show, our signature like closing line was, "We do it for you, we do it for the culture," because our name was Pop Culture Corner. Everyone in their mother in the UFO community, they always wrap up their show by "keep looking up in the skies" or some variation of that.
Right.
So, what I want to do is, don't stop looking up, or don't. I don't know. Maybe we can do like a Twitter vote for it. I don't know.
Come up with a few. I'll help you come up with a few. You know what I say on my channel? Well, used to, but I'll start saying it again because I thought it worked. I would be like, "You're in the right place at the right time." That's what I used to say.
I'm typing it out in the chat, but what are your guys?
I like that one, man. I might steal that one real quick, Zio. Keep your mind's eye open. Yeah, buddy. I love that.
But yeah, maybe we'll do like a Twitter poll and we'll have you guys vote on it.
Let them vote.
Yeah. For now, don't stop looking up, right? Because you're not gonna see a UFO on the ground. Trust me. Actually, you might.
Well, unless you work for Lockheed, but
Got him. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.